Very good evening to you. You're watching Primetime News on News First. I'm Saturanga Hapuarachi.
And I'm Bernadine Jaisingh. Very good evening to you. Let's now take a look at your stories in detail.
Before that, going on to the headlines now. Somali pirates hijack oil tanker with crew including 8 Sri Lankans. Mahinda Deshapriya speaks on the fate of democracy. Ministry of Finance reaches agreements to enhance state enterprises. Will Geeta Kumarasinghe lose her seat in Parliament? Elections of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka tomorrow. We have all these stories and more coming up, but let's take a look at the top story now. On to those stories in detail now. It is being reported that the 8 crew members on board the oil tanker that was hijacked near the port of Djibouti in Somalia are Sri Lankan nationals. Issuing a statement this evening, the Sri Lankan Ministry of Foreign Affairs notes that the ministry is communicating with all relevant authorities to ensure the safety of the Sri Lankan crew.
Foreign media reported this afternoon that the oil tanker named Aries 13 was believed to be hijacked by Somali pirates. The said oil tanker had departed the Colombo harbour at around 5:30 p.m. on the 28th of January, bound for the port of Mogadishu in Somalia. Foreign media reported that the vessel had lost all forms of communication and had disappeared off radars last evening.
Okay, so what we're doing now, we're working with our partners in the area. So there's another task force operating in the area, the Combined Maritime Task Force, who is operating in the area. They also have a warship that's close by, so they're trying to ascertain what actually happened to the ship. We have overflown our maritime patrol aircraft. There's been no sightings on board the aircraft of any people on board on the upper deck of the ship. We certainly have seen no armed men. We have not seen any armed men on the ship. So this is why we're trying to investigate what has actually happened to it. Normally in the past, you would see the pirates, suspected pirates on the upper deck. We haven't seen any imagery of armed men on the ship at this time, which is why we're still investigating what actually happened. There's been no communication with the ship, I understand, and the ship's owners. So there's still lots to be done. We're trying to work also with the Somali authorities to see if they can help go and find out what has happened. So there's still a lot of work to do, but rest assured we're taking this incident very seriously to try and find out. I know some of the press are saying it's a piracy incident. We're still trying to confirm that.
A Sri Lankan pirate company had employed 8 Sri Lankans as the crew of Aries 13. While the Aries 13 sails under the flag of Comoros, based in the United Arab Emirates. Meanwhile, issuing a communique, the Sri Lankan Ministry of Foreign Affairs notes that the ministry is continuously communicating with all relevant authorities and Sri Lankan foreign missions in the relevant countries to ensure the safety of the Sri Lankan crew and to gather more information regarding the hijacked vessel. Voice of America journalist Harun Maharuf tweeted earlier today that according to Somali officials, the vessel is now anchored off the coast of Red Sea, town of Alula.
Pirates intercepted the ship and then brought the ship back to the Somali coast, and the ship is now anchored in the port of Alula, where it is static. Apart from that, we've heard no demands from the pirates or these people. In fact, they've been on the local media themselves claiming that they're fishermen and they're just fighting illegal fishing. But that doesn't really correspond to the facts. You know, the ship that they've intercepted is a fuel tanker, an oil tanker, and
Former Superintendent of the Public Debt Department, Dhammikanana Naikara, provided evidence before Presidential Commission of Inquiry to investigate and inquire into the issuance of Treasury bonds once again today.
Deputy Solicitor General Milinda Gunatilaka led the evidence before the Commission today. It was revealed at the Commission today that during the tenure of former Superintendent of the Public Debt Department, Dhammikanana Naikara, there were 4 primary dealers and one of them was Perpetual Treasuries Private Limited. It was also revealed that Selinko Shriram Securities Limited was taken over by the management of Entrust Securities PLC. Dhammika Nanayakara informed the Commission that on the 17th of October 2012, he received a letter from Union Bank expressing confidence in the financial strength of the group of companies of which Perpetual Treasuries Limited is a part of. It was revealed that although Arjun Aloysius resigned as director of Perpetual Treasuries, he was a shareholder of Perpetual Capital Holdings. When asked if a member of the Mantri board having a close relationship with the director of primary dealer was unethical, the former superintendent of the public debt department revealed that had he known of such relationship, he would have taken it up with his top management. Dhammika Nanayakara is to appear before the commission tomorrow as well. Meanwhile, former governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, Arjuna Mahendran, appeared before the detectives assisting the Presidential Commission of Inquiry to investigate and inquire into the issuance of treasury bonds to provide a statement for the third day. A statement was recorded from Arjuna Mahendran for almost 6 hours by the detectives.
Auditor General Gamini Vijayasinghe says that an investigation will be conducted into the Google Loon project. The Auditor General made this statement speaking on the special segment Newsline.
When it came to the Google Loon project, the ICTA played a major role in initiating the project. Will its role be subjected to an audit of any manner?
All these expenses will be classified as capital expenditure of the ICTA. We will look into it in the future. We will need to examine how the money was spent and whether the projects were successful. We will look into these matters because the concept of the ICTA is very important and essential to the country. If we are to increase the nation's efficiency, we need to introduce technology to state institutions. But by introducing such methods, we cannot let the nation's technological advancement decline. It needs to be done in a manner that does not waste public funds and ensures that it is successful in the long term. Therefore, we will definitely look into the efficiency of these projects.
The complete interview with Auditor General Gamini Vijayasinghe will be telecast on our sister channel Sirasa TV during the 10 p.m. news bulletin.
The footage what you witnessed was the launch of a project to explore petroleum resources in the country. What happened to the project? And what is the current status of that project?
In 2013, exploration for petroleum resources commenced centering the northwestern province, which saw a helicopter being flown over several areas for this purpose. A joint venture with an international firm, exploration for petroleum resources, took place across an area of 90 square kilometers. The objective of this project was to identify locations with petroleum resources. The international firm, which explored for the petroleum resources across a large area within a short time period, left the country, citing that the exploration did not bring about any result. The then authorities of the Geological Survey and Mines Bureau said that that was the first ever exploration licensee of Sri Lanka that engaged in an airborne magnetic survey process. Projects were carried out in the past and the reports were submitted to us. When a project is being done, if it is a viable one, it will be taken forward to ensure that it is done in a manner that is suitable for the exploration of petroleum resources. If the respective individual is satisfied with the process, the project will continue. They can apply for a mining license as well.
Here's a look at other key judicial proceedings of the day. The Auditor General informed the Court of Appeal today that an individual holding dual citizenship does not have a right to serve as a member of the Sri Lankan Parliament. This was revealed when the petition filed by 4 residents of Galle challenging the parliamentary position of Geetha Kumarasinghe was taken up today. Deputy Solicitor General Janak De Silva, appearing on behalf of the Attorney General, announced at the Court of Appeal that Geetha Kumarasinghe has thus far failed to inform court that she renounced her citizenship in Switzerland. The Deputy Solicitor General pointed out that therefore she has no legal right to serve as a parliamentarian. Court ordered for written submissions before the 5th of April and postponed the hearing to the 3rd of May when a verdict will be delivered. The Gampaha High Court issued summons to former Minister Basil Rajapaksa and Thirukumar Nadesan to appear in court on the 3rd of May in relation to the land in Malwana. On Thursday, the Attorney General filed indictments against the duo at the Gampaha High Court with regard to the purchase of a land and house in Malwana, Gampaha for a sum of 250 million rupees. The Attorney General announced that indictments were filed against Basil Rajapaksa on charges of money laundering, aiding money laundering and conspiring. Australian businessman Brian Chaddick, who is a witness in a case filed against MP Udaya Gammanpilla, provided evidence before the Colombo High Court once again today. Appearing in court, he said that he flew to Sri Lanka and provided a statement to the police only after a proper environment came about in the island in order for him to pursue legal means in relation to the fraud. Brian Chaddick refuted claims made by the Defence Counsel, citing that he had signed documents of a company named Metal Recyclers Colombo in 1997 and added that though the signature is similar to his, it was not placed by him. He also rejected the allegations made by the defence that he was making false statements. The case will be taken up again on the 16th.
The election of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka, or BASL, is to be held tomorrow.
The election of the BASL was to be held on the 21st of February 2017. However, the election was postponed due to the Judicial Services Commission stepping away from monitoring duties of the election due to a dispute which arose regarding the appointment of a judge. When the BASL convened on the 25th of February, an amendment was made to the BASL constitution which allows the election to take place under the supervision of a senior lawyer appointed by the BASL. A disagreement arose between the Judges Union and the Bar Association due to the lack of clarity on a certain matter. The incumbent president of the BASL then explained the matter and held an extraordinary general meeting. Based on decisions taken at the extraordinary general meeting, certain amendments were made in a manner in which the elections could be held. Based on those decisions, the Judges Union agreed to support the election. As a result, nearly 13,000 lawyers will go to the polls tomorrow at 77 election centres across the island. Attorneys U.R. De Silva, Anura Meddagoda and RRS Thangaraja are contesting for the post of president of the BASL. Our only aim is to create a good group of lawyers. This is a noble profession. We want to create a skilled and talented group of lawyers instead of individuals who oppress others, who lay blame on others or work on behalf of other persons, and who do not want to help the public. I firmly believe that we can accomplish this. As a member of the BASL who worked as a committee member, treasurer and secretary of the association, I have been able to leave an impact, one which is spoken of even today, so there is no challenge. I hope to act in accordance with the rule of law and accomplish the objectives laid out in the Constitution of the Bar Association. I also hope to create a new set of seminars to provide the necessary guidance for junior lawyers and law students. I pledge to help them prosper in this field. I also hope to provide the leadership necessary to raise this profession to new heights.
The Ministry of Finance is set to sign statements of corporate intent with selected state-owned business enterprises with the aim of enhancing their contribution to the nation's gross domestic product or GDP.
The Statement of Corporate Intent is a tripartite memorandum of understanding to be signed by the Secretary to the Ministry of Finance, the Secretary of the relevant line ministry and the Chairman on behalf of the Board of Directors of the respective state-owned business enterprises. Initially, 5 state-owned business enterprises, namely the Ceylon Electricity Board, the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation, the National Water Supply and Drainage Board, the Airport and Aviation Services Limited and the Sri Lankan Ports Authority have been selected to sign this statement of corporate intent. The move, which has been approved by the Cabinet on the 28th of last month, is expected to improve financial efficiency through improved corporate practices, introduce innovative financing, maintain strong and prudent financial management, offer exposure to competitiveness and international best practices, and create effective human resource management while enhancing public accountability. The MOUs include key performance indicators linked to corporate plan, action plan, and annual budget of the state-owned business enterprises for a period of 3 years starting from the year 2017. The Ministry of Finance says on the success of the implementation of this priority program, the government is expecting to extend this move to the other state-owned enterprises as well. There are more than 350 state-owned enterprises that can be identified as corporations, banks, academic institutions, statutory boards and public companies, etc.
Sri Lanka agrees that the full implementation of the UNHRC resolution of October 2015 remains a priority. This was revealed through a joint press release following the meeting of the Working Group on Governance, Rule of Law and Human Rights under the EU-Sri Lankan Joint Commission.
According to the joint press release, the second meeting of the Working Group on Governance, Rule of Law and Human Rights under the EU-Sri Lanka Joint Commission was held in Colombo yesterday and today. The release further notes that the Working Group called on Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe and Foreign Affairs Minister Mangala Samaraweera, both of whom confirmed their political commitment to move forward on reforms in sectors covered by the Working Group. Both sides had also agreed that the full implementation of the UNHRC resolution of October 2015 remains a priority, while the EU also reiterated its readiness to continue supporting the government in its reforms, including with financial assistance. The two parties had also discussed Sri Lanka's application for the GSP Plus concession. The working group had noted that Sri Lanka should make prompt and concrete progress in fulfilling international commitments on human rights, labour rights and environmental protection, as the European Parliament and the Council will reach their decision by mid-May.
Meanwhile, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs issuing a media release notes that Sri Lanka will be co-sponsoring a resolution at the current session of the UNHRC, which will provide a 2-year extension of the timeline for the fulfillment of commitments made in Resolution 30/1 of 2015. The release also notes that the resolution will not include taking on any new commitments airing from the United Nations High Commissioner's Office a report to the Council at the current session. In more local news, the World Food Programme says that Sri Lanka's worst drought in 5 years has pushed 900,000 people into acute food insecurity. Thomson Reuters Foundation, quoting the World Food Programme office in Sri Lanka, reports that an unpublished survey conducted by government agencies and relief organizations in February found that both food insecurity and debt were rising sharply among families hit by drought. The survey found that over 1/3 of the drought-affected households had seen their income drop by half since September, and 60% of the households surveyed were in debt. The World Food Programme said that the average amount of debt was 180,000 Sri Lankan rupees or $1,200. The survey findings are expected to be formally released later this month.
The new 7-storied building built at the Makutarama temple in Dematagoda was declared open by President Maithripala Sirisena.
The temple is of Myanmar origin and the building was constructed to accommodate the monks that come to Sri Lanka from Myanmar. The building was opened by the President following religious observances. A memento was presented by one of the resident monks to mark the occasion.
Addressing the Student Parliament of the St. Sylvester's College in Kandy, Chairman of the Election Commission Mahinda Deshapriya commented on the fate of democracy in the country.
The main quality of democracy, even in Parliament, is that we should always pay attention to the opinions of others. Even tribes in Indonesia or in the Amazon forest get together and discuss before doing something. That is the main quality of democracy. And that is exactly what we cannot teach the people in this country. Everyone thinks that the only way to prove their stance is by screaming and using their powers. Is democracy all about the stance of the majority? Take a family as an example. The family consists of a mother, father, 2 sons and a daughter. The mother, the youngest son and the daughter prefer to eat rice, but the father and the eldest son prefer bread. If democracy is all about the stance of the majority, the eldest son and the father will always have to eat rice even when they dislike it. Why? Because there are 3 on one side and 2 on the other. But what did they do? They buy rice and bread both. They cook dal and dry fish. They cook dal in large quantities because then the ones who prefer bread can eat with dal. If not, they will not be able to eat bread. When preparing dry fish, they prepare it in a way they can eat with bread, which means they act according to the stance of the majority while making sure the rest is also treated in the best possible way.
University lecturers convened a media briefing in Colombo today.
Around 94 parliamentarians are those who do not possess even an SSC qualification. Of the 225 MPs, only around 25 are degree holders. What is disappointing is that such persons have entered Parliament and are being maintained with public funds. Yet they behave in this manner. This cannot be condoned. How will the country function if the process is sabotaged? How will the executive function? Dinesh Gunawardena is one of the senior most MPs in the House. His actions over the past few days were disgraceful. In short, if one wants to learn profanity and indecent behavior, the best place for that is the Sri Lankan Parliament and the members of the joint opposition. The Speaker is an esteemed position in the country. These MPs must understand the powers of the Speaker. These are the actions of Samyana Nangoda Lokka. The only thing different is that these persons do not shoot each other. The so-called group that supported the dominant and authoritarian political process is calling themselves the joint opposition and are enjoying this freedom in Parliament. Some candidates were given nominations even at a time when murder charges were filed against them. Some political parties gave those persons nominations. They topped the elections on preferential votes. In one hand, political parties must be held accountable for this, and on the other, voters must also take responsibility.
The strike action launched by the Public Services United Nurses Association, citing 7 demands, continued for the second day today.
The Public Services United Nurses Association commenced a strike action citing that they have not received promotions in their career for the past 5 years. They have also highlighted 7 other demands. Director of the National Hospital, Dr. Anil Jayasinghe, notes that a number of nurses did not report to work owing to the strike. Director of the Kandy-based hospital, Dr. R.M.S. Ratnayaka, noted that around 40 nurses did not report to work owing to the strike. Meanwhile, usual activities were not disrupted at the Nagoda-based hospital owing to the strike action launched by the Public Services United Nurses Association.
I came to get my stitches cut, but because of some strike, they asked me to go to the Panadura hospital. Activities were delayed by about half an hour. I believe that the strike launch was unsuccessful. The doctor inspected me, saying that the nurses are on strike today. All activities were carried out as usual, although the people were afraid owing to the strike action. Do not level allegations at us saying that we have launched this strike action for political gains. If anyone thinks so, I would like to say that this strike will turn out to be more stronger. I would like to make a request. That is to ask Saman Ratnapriya to remain silent without creating problems within the nurses. The nurses have shown those who fight for something on and off that they don't have a place in the health sector. When strong trade unions decide to take action, Venerable Muruthettu Ethero only need to support these unions. He shouldn't be launching trade union actions. No matter how our opponents look at this, open-minded people in the trade union movement will believe that the strongest union is the Public Service United Nurses Union. What I see is that this strike has been launched at an unwanted time for an unwanted reason. It is clear that they are neglecting the steps that will be taken by the Health Ministry.
While the Public Service United Nurses Union was continuing the trade union action, 2 nurses from the provincial hospital in Atimale commenced a fast requesting authorities to provide 2 more nurses to the hospital.
Protests and demonstrations were reported from several areas today as well.
A protest took place opposite the Valikada prison today, citing several demands, including to enforce the law on the deaths of inmates inside the prison walls. It was organized by the Committee for Protecting the Rights of Prisoners. They alleged that it has been 5 years since 27 inmates were killed, and the law is yet to be enforced regarding the killings.
They tried to sweep this under the carpet by providing 2 million rupees. We seek the people responsible and not money for those who were slain. Whose instructions did persons like Rangajiva follow? Rather than apprehending Gotabaya, the ministers are entertaining deals.
They have valued a human life at 2 million rupees. That is only for 16 of the dead. The other 11 are those who were shot when they left the prison in a three-wheeler belonging to a prison official. They were shot when leaving in a three-wheeler. Who created that environment? The murders were committed under the orders of Gotabaya. Today, the government reaches deals.
Housing recipients from Mihidusenpura protested today by obstructing the Demadagoda railway crossing. They alleged that the water supply to their homes was suspended from Sunday without prior notice. The water supply to 150 houses in the D block of the housing project has been suspended, and the locals allege that the suspension was done even at a time when they have paid their dues. The OIC of Demadagoda thereafter arrived at the location and held discussion with the group. Thereafter, the group dispersed. The Housing Development Authority said that these persons had failed to pay their monthly installments due for the provision of the houses for a long period of time.
Two individuals, including an individual alleged to be a former LTTE female cadre, have been remanded until the 28th of March. The duo were arrested last evening while they were travelling in a three-wheeler based on a tip-off received on the police emergency hotline. During initial questioning, the woman had revealed that she was a rehabilitated former LTTE cadre.
A large number of politicians as well as the public paid their last respect to the late Renuka Herath, the opposition leader of the Central Provincial Council and former minister.
Renuka Herath passed away on the 12th while receiving treatment at the Kandy General Hospital. The remains were placed at the Central Provincial Council for 2 hours this evening for council members and the public to pay their last respects. Later, the remains were taken to her official residence in Valapane. Many politicians do not get the opportunity to serve the country for so long. She had the opportunity to serve for a period of 38 years. I believe that she was an active and sincere politician.
I remember the times where both of us were hospitalized together after being beaten and hit on the head when participating in campaigns for our party. I remember the times where she acted bravely for the party. Late Renuka Herath was an important noble woman. When talking about today's politics, something which can be seen clearly is that she did not work to gather properties or to improve the lives of her relatives. She did a great service for the people who voted her and also who didn't.
The final rites will be performed on Thursday at the Nildandadhina Public Stadium in Valapane.
Sri Lankan Test captain Rangana Herath says that the team will continue to maintain its victorious mindset. He was speaking to reporters today at the pre-match media briefing ahead of tomorrow's second test against Bangladesh.
The second and final test between Sri Lanka and Bangladesh will be played at the Pisara Oval in Colombo tomorrow. Both sides were seen at the nets this morning. Sri Lanka lead the series 1-0 with a 259-run victory in the first test. A final decision has not been made on the composition of the team. We will have around 6 to 7 batsmen. We cannot hope the same amount of runs from each batsman, but each opening batsman must go for many runs as possible. The hard surface of the pitch in the morning would favour the pacers. We defeated Australia and we won the first test, and we are maintaining that mindset. We hope to maintain it further. Bangladesh will become the 10th nation to play 100 tests when they take the field at the Pisara Oval in Colombo. Sri Lanka and Bangladesh have played 17 test matches, of which Sri Lanka have won 15.
I think the wickets looks dry also, so hopefully the spinners comes into play. But still, I think, as I said before, that we have spinners and quicks in our squad, so whatever we decide, I think we need to bowl well and we need to bowl in right areas more often than now, so then the result will come. So we are looking forward to it, and still tomorrow morning will come and we will decide whether we will play in the best 11.
With that, we wrap up Primetime News. I'm Bernadine Jazz Singha.
I'm Saturanga Pawarachi. Take care and good night.